All right, hopefully you still have your copy of the Declaration in front of you. We're going to read the next part right here. This whole next part right here is often called the preamble. Ooh, I'm on the edge there. Preamble. Crummy handwriting. My handwriting in real life really is much better than that, I promise. Oh well, get used to it. This is the preamble, and one of the big things that the preamble does is it gives the philosophy. These are the reasons, the philosophical reasons of how things should be and why we have a right to break off from you. So this we're going to look here, and you're going to see again huge influence by John Locke and his philosophy of government and how it works here. So let's zoom in here and start reading some of this stuff here. You'll see lots of stuff. In fact, I would pay attention to the stuff that's related to John Locke. So let's look here. We hold these truths to be self-evident. So they're going to say some things here that are self-evident, that just are nature. These are laws of nature, right? That are just there. And actually they got these right from John Locke. That all men are created equal. That's right out of John Locke, right? Let's mark some of this stuff. Created equal, that's from John Locke. And that they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights. What does unalienable mean? Do you know what that word means? That's a good word that you should know. Well, what does alien mean? Alien means that it's you can separate it. It's apart from you. You know, like aliens from Mars, they're separated. They're apart from us. So if it's unalienable, that means you cannot be separated from these rights. That your Creator gives you rights which you cannot be separated from. So these are unalienable rights, and then among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Hey, these come really right out of John Locke. I would tie all these three to John Locke and make sure that you kind of know the connection with that John Locke reading. So life, living, the pursuit of happiness. Just a little bit of whoops. That's not what we want to do. Just a little bit of history on this. This pursuit of happiness was changed. They wanted to say property. Ooh, my handwriting is so bad here, but you can read that, right? Property. They wanted to say life, liberty, and property, which is right out of John Locke, but they decided to change that to the pursuit of happiness, thinking that that was basically the same thing, that people have a right to their own government, their own property, excuse me, that they earn and they work towards. That's a fight that's going on right now in our society, whether it's okay to tax the rich and take their property away or not. But according to this, the rights among these are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And then here's the purpose of government. So here we have, right here, if you want to mark this, this is the purpose of government. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men. Remember, that's what John Locke said, that governments were meant to protect property. That to secure these rights, government to protect life, liberty, and happiness, that's what governments do. So that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent. Here's the consent parted, right? John Locke talks about that. But that was their big gripe, is that there was no consent. We had no representation. We did not have any input into the rules. And that's against the laws of nature, according to John Locke. And according to them, they didn't like it. So here we go, that to secure these rights, that's the purpose of government. If you want to mark that off in yours, that's the purpose of government right there. And then here's their idea here that we can break apart, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive to this end. So when governments become destructive to protecting life, liberty, and happiness, to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and to institute new governments. So this is why they're saying we have legal right to do this. We have a legal right to start our own government, laying its foundation on such principles and organization, and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. So that's out of John Locke. Remember, if you don't like the government you have, you can get rid of it and start something new. And they say with new principles that are going to help their safety and happiness. So prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. So they do realize here that that you don't just overthrow governments anytime you don't like things. You know, if there's something wrong, you don't just say, oh, throw out the government and start a new one. That would just be chaos all the time. So they're saying we don't do this, like, this is not something we just do casually. This is something we've thought about and only do only in extreme situations. So, and accordingly, all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. So most often you don't overthrow the government because overthrow is hard. Now they knew that the Revolutionary War was coming up. Overthrow government is not easy. So most of the time you just go along with your government. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. So here they are saying when things are really that bad. Ooh, this is such a mess, but good thing you guys on your notes looks a lot better. So they say you only throw off government when things are that bad. Only when things are super bad do you do it. When it's the worst, when the government has this long train of abuses and usurpations, and they want to just be in charge of you. Despotism means that we're just going to run your lives. So only in those cases do you overthrow the government. So here they go. They're going to say here that such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies. So in other words, it has been that bad. And such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the King of Britain is a history of repeated injuries, usurpations, all having the direct object the establishment of absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, so they're going to prove it. This is important because this is much of the rest of the document here. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. So now if we're looking at this preamble, we start here with a lot of the philosophy that starts out about what government is supposed to do. And then you move on to what if the government doesn't do that? This is the middle section. If the government does not do what you're wanting to, you can overthrow them. But you don't do it lightly. You only do it when it's really bad. So then they're saying here, it has been really bad. It's been so bad, and we're going to show you. The next sections are going to show you. So if you wanted to kind of outline this first section, the first thing I would say here is what government should do. Do you like my little garbage writing there? That helps you remember, though, hopefully enough, right? The first section is what government should do. The second section is what do you do when it's bad. If it's bad, you throw it off. That's what you do if it's bad. And then the third section here is it is bad. So what government should do, what government should do, what you do if it's really bad, and it is that bad, so we are going to overthrow our government. That is the preamble to the Declaration of Independence.